What a spectacular treat for the people here on Fraser Island today. It was expected that Meghan would not take part in any of the royal engagements today, but just a few minutes ago we did see them walk along this beautiful jetty here at Kingfisher Bay, and they're just up to my right at the moment greeting some of the locals and also about 100 tourists who've been lucky enough to secure a spot over here on Fraser Island for this very special event. She was joined by the Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, who has been touring around with Prince Harry on his engagements today, and we have had a jam-packed day full of royal engagements. It started with an unveiling of a plaque for the Queen's Canopy project, which is an initiative to try and protect and restore lush rainforests across the globe. He then went to Lake Mackenzie and also discovered some of the history of Fraser Island, particularly its logging past and how the island was also used as a training ground for specialist soldiers during World War I. He then was quite lucky to take a nice boat ride out on these spectacular waters behind me, the sort of beaches that you just don't get in England. Now we have just seen he has been reunited with his wife for this very special walk along the jetty.
And if you can take us back to the Canopy, the Commonwealth Canopy program, which is one of the engagements Prince Harry is at Fraser Island for today. He spoke there. Can you tell us what he had to say?
So this was a project that was started by his grandmother, the Queen, to try and restore and protect lush rainforests across the globe. And we know that here on Fraser Island there's about 206,000 acres of these pristine rainforests that are protected. It is a World Heritage Site here. So Prince Harry, when he was speaking at this event today, talked about the need to try and conserve these sort of environments, something that he is clearly very passionate about. And in cheeky Queensland style, there were actually a couple of traditional owners who shouted out to him that he looks even better in person, and I think we saw a bit of Harry blushing a little bit there. But look, this is the sort of relaxed environment that you've seen on Fraser Island. It's a very sort of low-key event compared to what we've seen in Sydney and in Melbourne as well. There's only 100 or 150 tourists that have been allowed here for the day. In fact, there's actually more media than there is probably tourists. So it gives you an idea about how this day has played out, and particularly for Meghan, who sat most of these engagements out. When we're talking about that Queen Canopy project, you had to get out there, it has to go through these really treacherous sort of conditions, really rough and tough sand dunes, and probably not the most comfortable place for an expectant woman.
And we obviously heard from officials that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, would be taking a break from most of the official events today, but we have seen her front up here to greet the locals who seem very happy that she's done so.
Absolutely, and I think that sort of gives you an indication of how much they not only appreciate people coming to show their support and to coming out to see them, but I guess how they recognise that there is a role for them to play as a couple. And we have heard that Harry is, obviously his own man, Meghan is her own woman. They don't feel like they need to do anything together, but given that this is such a picturesque location and there are such a small handful of people here, she obviously felt that she could come out and say hello, and I know the people here are very excited to see her, and Harry, obviously, of course.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Meghan.
absolutely. and tonight they'll be overnighting on the island and I believe being treated to a bit of bush tucker.
Yeah, so Queensland is known for its amazing food. This region in particular, it's seafood, and we do know that there is a special menu that has been designed to try and cater for the royals. We understand that there will be some bush tucker on the menu, perhaps something like emu or crocodile or kangaroo, and also some spices and herbs, something like pepper berries, those sort of things that could be used on the menu. There may also be some fresh seafood offered as well, probably straight from these beautiful waters off the coast of Fraser Island. And either way, this is a very romantic location. It is pristine, pristine island. There is just gorgeous stretches of white sand. The ocean, as you can see, is spectacularly clear, so blue. There'd be very few locations that would be considered more romantic.
And just finally, before we let you go, Alison, the Royals are partway through their 16-day tour. Tomorrow they leave Australian shores.
Yes, we understand they will stay here tonight on Fraser Island before jetting off to Fiji. There's no word as to whether or not Meghan will continue to rest and sit out some of these royal engagements. But given this is a 16-day tour, as you just mentioned, and today they're only at day 7, you'd have to imagine that she is getting quite tired by this point, and there may need to be some time in the middle to try and recoup and refresh herself. And I think it gives you a bit of an indication about how just intensive this sort of a tour can be. I think we can forget that these are actually just human beings as well, and at some point they do need to rest, especially with a baby on board.
Absolutely. Alison Horn, we will leave it there, but thank you for bringing us that report, and of course those great live pictures of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex coming in there.